Welcome back. Sorry, guys. Ivan just said a really funny joke right before we started. Nancy has a bird's eye view. Bull's bird's eye view of the brown starfish. Oh, boy. He'll be spending next week. We'll see Kitty in jail. Desecrating the speaker's podium, I guess. I don't know.
Nancy is not the speaker anymore.
No, she's not. She's not. No. But I don't know how old that picture is. I mean, she was the speaker for, 900 years? At least she was in that position for 900 years. Oh, you guys forgot to remind me to turn my lights on.
Hey, turn your lights on.
Okay, I'll turn my lights on. Hold on. Let me turn my lights on. We're super professional around here.
Yeah.
See, I was like bragging earlier. This is my fault because I was bragging. I'm like, we have everything done. Uh-oh. One of my lights is not working.
Uh-oh.
Mr. Light, why are you not working? Well, it might be time to replace my $10 Walmart lights.
Oh, boy.
You have the economics to do that?
I think... Oh! Nope, it just needs some soldering. See, look at that. Yeah. Oh, well, we'll just run with one light for now. Fortunately, hopefully we have a soldering house. Fresh Vintage, if you're here. Do you have a soldering iron in there? I need some soldering done. All right.
I got one here.
Yeah, that doesn't help. I'm at the Fresh Vintage garage, though, so, you know. All right. Welcome, everybody. It's been a fun week. It's been a crazy week. I have about picked up... come on, chair. Why is my chair not working? All right. Nothing is working. See, this is all my fault because I kind of started like bragging. I had the new kitty banner done, and I had everything done. I was all set. We were ready to go, and I didn't get myself aligned properly, nor did I turn on my lights. Great. Okay. Well, then. Of course, today we're talking about the TikTok ban passed the House. It is projected to have a rocky road in the Senate, so we don't know if this is actually going to pass. So if ever you needed to reach out to your politicians, guys, tell your senators not to pass this thing. This bill is dangerous. Although not as it's dangerous for different reasons than other people have suggested.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. And it cuts everybody every which way. Double-edged sword in the hands of a 3-year-old. All right. Anybody want us to talk about anything before we get into it, or should we just go ahead and jump on into it?
I say jump on in.
All right. Well, in true hypocritical fashion, as I was trying to get the research, I was just trying to get the text of the bill quickly with a link. And lo and behold, I could not find any of the news articles talking about the bill that actually linked to the bill. So you'll notice if you go down in the description of the video, I didn't either. Sorry. I should do that. I'll try to remember to get that in there. But this is the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversely Controlled bill. It is H.R. 7521. With that information, you can quickly drop that into even the crappiest search engine, should hopefully find it. This is on congress.gov. So if you want to have a look over there, and of course, this is a good place to follow all the bills. It talks about the whole process. You can see here it was introduced. You can see that it has passed the House. It is now up for the Senate. And so with the Senate going on, there's some questions about it. And when we have Rand Paul and AOC on the same side, we really should pay attention. And that's kind of what is going on here. And so the bill is surprisingly short. You will be very pleased to know that the government did pass a bill that did not have extra funding for Ukraine. I was expecting line one to be $700 million to Ukraine or something, but it doesn't have that. No money for Gaza or Israel either. It's just as Stix Hexenhammer, called this bill the Digital Patriot Act, which is probably an apt discussion. I did watch a video from somebody that I'm sure most of the audience might declare as a wing white supremacist or something. Was that Alan Graham? I don't know. Somebody dropped it in the Matrix server earlier today. I watched his video, and it was a bunch of blithering nonsense. That guy needs to get a checkup from the neck up, I'll tell you what. His big thing, he's just like, all the social media, you have to be 17 for social media. That just means all of us have to provide an ID to, like, get on YouTube and Facebook. I'm not buying onto that. Not a chance. But it is very short bill. We are not going to read it verbatim, though, just because it is a short bill and you can read it and you probably should read it. But we are going to just summarize it. Overall, what the bill basically says is if there is a foreign adverse government. Now, that's not explicitly defined because I think the thing is it could be rotating. We could have an ally that somehow turns into an enemy really quick, in which case they become an adverse agent. And what it does is it prohibits a adverse agent party from owning any basically media company, which would be apps, VR, websites, anything except product reviews. I can't figure that one out. There is a carve-out exception for product reviews and travel reviews. So travel reviews and product reviews are exempt. Everything else that is effectively a platform type. So TikTok is specifically mentioned in the bill. Any YouTube type alternative, any Facebook type alternative, any Twitter type alternative. If it is owned by or controlled by an entity that goes back under the ultimate crown of a foreign adversity that has over 1 million, I think it's monthly users, I believe, then it is no longer allowed to operate within the United States. So you could say that this is possibly good in some respects. I will point out that some of the political commentary that I saw said that the president could unilaterally declare anything as problematic. That is not in the text of the bill. I think that is actually a misinterpretation of one of the lines of the bills here. And let me copy that line here because I actually have that line highlighted. That is this line here, determined by the president to be a significant threat to the national security of the United States, following the issuance of public notice proposing such a determination and public report. Now, what they're missing is this "and" right here under section 1 of this code. So it has to be controlled by a foreign agency and determined by the president. So the two things. So ultimately what that's going to mean in the scope of this is that if it's a foreign controlled entity that the president, so there's two elements that have to be satisfied for it to fall under this law. Now, I have a question because I'm not a lawyer or a constitutional lawyer. Does this not give the executive branch judicial authority in some way? I'd be interested if you have legal experience. Does that true? Because you're basically saying that the president has to also sign off to say that this is a problematic thing. And I'm not sure how to interpret that, but I do not interpret that to say the president could unilaterally declare, Tucker's new network that he's done. Was it the Tucker Carlson network? I think is what he did.
Yeah.
He can't
Or
unilaterally
X or even
declare that as problematic. A, he's just a network. He's not a social media content. But B, he's not under the purview of a foreign entity. Well, except he did have that meeting in the Kremlin with Putin, so he must be a foreign spy now, I guess. I don't know. But that is a basic summary of the bill. You guys have any initial thoughts on that before we get into my notes?
Well, I think this opens the door up for them to actually create other bills to actually stifle other media outlets as well. Especially people, we have reporters in other countries that actually use Rumble and stuff like that to report what they see is going on battlefields and ravaged countries and stuff like that. If they could use this platform also to actually squash that kind of stuff. And like I said, this is kind of a double-edged sword. And another thing they should have done, because it is a new bill and it's something that they haven't tried before, they actually should have put some end of life and sunset terms into the bill, like a couple of years. So the bill would expire and then they could vote on to renew it or not.
Yeah, that would have been a good idea. I agree with that. Anyone else? All right. So one more thing I neglected to mention. The TikTok could still function, and any company that would fall into this could still function should they divest themselves into another American-based company. And that's where the Sticks, Hex, and Hammer Patriot Act comes into effect. Because in that circumstance, what would happen then is that now all this data, the concern is there's all this data from TikTok, and the Chinese government has access to it. Not only that, but the Chinese government also screws around with that data to make sure that we are as foolish and stupid as we can possibly be for all eternity. Meanwhile, the Chinese version of the app pushes science and education and patriotism. Ours pushes the most degenerate nonsense I've ever seen since walking through Haitian streets. So that being said, of course, if you're unfamiliar with the barbecue the cannibal roaming around Hades right now that the government has fled, that makes a little bit of sense. But hopefully that calls under control, and hopefully the data on TikTok falls under control. The concern is now TikTok has all of this data, and if we just want to give it off to some other American company, now the American company has it. And as Blaze Media has said, the big concern here is that it's that third-party doctrine. Of course, TikTok as an American company would be subject to Section 230, but this also gives it a third-party doctrine and a back door that we've already seen with Google and with Twitter until Musk bought it, and with Facebook and all of these other services, not to mention the Ring cameras and things like that. And so we have some issues going on that we need to look at. But what they were mostly arguing here is the third-party doctrine, that all of this data goes in. Now, of course, this is really hilarious because if you go and this is a new site here. They just kind of rolled out their new things, and they're talking about the dangers of all this kind of stuff. But they actually have the Facebook tracking pixels in there. They have Google Analytics. Let's see. They do have Google Analytics. I just got to see where it is. It is in here. I hunted for it before. So for a company that wants us to be all concerned about collecting data, they seem to be sending a lot of data back to the companies that they don't want to be falling in the hands of. But I agree with the general sentiment, their own code notwithstanding. So that being said, though, my first topic I want to ask is TikTok really a threat to the nation? What do we think?
I think to some degree it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for some of these people on TikTok and some of the things they post, they really show the Chinese how stupid we really can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like of the video content that I've seen for TikTok hasn't been on TikTok. It's actually been inside of YouTube videos.
Yeah, it's been leaked around. Outside his house.
And they push the short model, and then of course Instagram gets into shorts, and YouTube gets into shorts, and I think Rumble has some shorts and things like that. And so now everyone's running around with all their shorts all the time, and we wonder why the society devolves into insanity.
I know, and it all started with Vine.
I think it should be actually. I think the playing field should be more equalized. If they're allowed to see how stupid we are, they should have their TikTok also show what the Chinese do on their TikTok channels.
And I forget which video I was watching today. They made a really good point where it might have even been the Graham Allen guy. I don't know, but maybe it was somebody else. So I watched several videos on this topic today. China bans nearly everything that doesn't fall under their exact purview of their control in their country. Why shouldn't we do the same with their stuff? Yeah. That's a valid point.
Yeah.
But that is to the point of the bill. You either have to sell off the American branch of your company to an American company, or you have to stop having the service. Now, let's also clarify in the bill, if you read it, this does not mean that if you're caught with TikTok on your phone, you're going to jail. No end user has any ultimate consequence for having the app. It deals with the company can't distribute it, and something like Google and Apple can't have it in their app stores. A server like AWS can't host the app. This is where it gets super nebulous with the government tentacles, right? So if I just have a repository because I collect software that I don't want to disappear into the ether, and I do this with like movies, I see a movie they start talking about, we gotta fix this movie. It has, bad things. So like Mary Poppins was just upgraded from its general audience rating up to basically our effective PG rating in the UK. Because there's like one word that appeared in it having to do with the chimney sweeping children, which if you know anything about the culture of the era of the time of Mary Poppins, chimney sweepers were a common thing. And believe it or not, when you go into a chimney full of soot and you go in there with brushes and you do soot, you happen to get some dark soot on your face. This is not racist. Okay. But there was a commentary about that in the film because it was a cultural piece. Well, that is now under fire in the UK for apparently blackface. And so, yes, you better believe when I find a copy of Mary Poppins in a thrift store, I am going to buy it. Not that I really want Mary Poppins, but I want to make sure that I have at least a copy of the film before it was vivocified. And I did the same with the Roald Dahl books. I have all of those now after they started trying to change all of those to get rid of the bad words and bad language. I downloaded original copies of all of them, so I have all of the original copies before they've been edited. I think that that's important. So if you happen to have one of those such servers and you're using something like AWS or Linode or DigitalOcean, all American companies, to host that repository, you could get fined by the government thousands and thousands of dollars for merely hosting an application that you just want there for archival purposes.
Suppose you download an app or a package from outside the country that is TikTok and install it on your device through an overseas download.
Yeah, there's no consequence with that. So sideloading the app is perfectly acceptable because you're not distributing.
Ubuntu started packaging TikTok with their operating system, then you'd have TikTok.
Like if Ubuntu did?
If they packaged it in their repository as a snap.
Yeah, that is true. They would not only could Ubuntu itself, you could still download Ubuntu from an overseas source and still install it. But none of the hundreds of universities and companies in America could host Ubuntu repositories if they did that. Also, though, I'm thinking about this. I know a lot of your modern smartphones are coming with TikTok pre-installed.
Mm-hmm.
How's that going?
Motorola's are.
Yeah, I know Motorola's are. Yeah. And it's like a Candy Crush zombie app. You delete it and it just keeps coming back. It's like, excuse me, I do not want your derogatory garbage. Get off of my phone.
Motorola phones have went from a really good phone right down into the bottom of the heap.
So is TikTok a threat was the overall question. I think it is a threat because it leads to a sheer degeneracy of society. But I don't think it's any more of a threat than is Facebook, than is Google, than is Microsoft, or any other big data company, from collecting the data to pushing things through algorithms that it thinks you want. And that's really what intensifies a lot of the craziness. Now, is it a threat? Yes. Does that mean we should ban it? No. Because, okay, first, should we age gate it? As was in the video I watched this morning. No, we should not age gate it. And the reason is to say nobody under the age of 17 can be on any app. And he wasn't just saying just TikTok. He was saying TikTok or Facebook or Twitter or anything had to be 17. Well, now the problem is that you've opened a door for them to collect your actual government IDs and other, far more identity related documents than they already are. So no, that's nonsense. I don't think
Yeah,
that.
to actually ban TikTok would put a dent in the internet as a free user space for everybody.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
and put a like an age restriction like that on there for anyone that's below that restriction. It's just going to want it that much more.
Correct.
Well, they have the same thing for Steam games. There's some Steam games, if you want to look at the content before you buy it, Steam will ask you for your birth date before they'll show you the game and clips of it and the art and the specs and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anybody can just put in an age that makes them look like 21 and they can get in.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's down to the parents. We need the parents to be better parents, but that's nothing you can legislate, and I don't think that we should. If we would like our society not to completely collapse under the sheer insanity of it all, we probably need to do that. But that being said, shouldn't be the government to ban it. Now, as we were discussing before the show started, last year they banned TikTok on government devices. I am in full support of that because they're government devices, and the government itself is supposed to be in line with having more sensitive information that somebody like the CCP might want. And so I'm okay with banning it from government devices. But I do not believe that we should ban it from the world, because that moves into our next point. The role of parents is to regulate what their kids are doing. Now, the problem is most parents don't. That is a problem. And we can't legislate parents being good parents. Maybe we need to get back to a society where parents are shamed into being better parents. Maybe we need to, if a child is, a minor is repeatedly picked up for crimes, maybe we need to start charging the parents for some of those crimes as well. There was the case a couple years ago about a 14-year-old that already had a rap sheet longer than a career criminal. He's 14. Where are the parents? Why are the parents not in jail? These are things. So we need better parents, but unfortunately, the parenting has been set aside in all of this as well, just into their own selfishness. Like there was a meme on Zeducation today where he says the lady's like, to the people who put TikTok, not TikTok, talk about TikTok. The people who put the tic-tac-toe game on the children's menu at the restaurant, stop doing that, because I don't want to play tic-tac-toe with my child. I want to sit here with my margarita and enjoy myself for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
that's a bad parent.
Yeah.
You need to show serious interest in your child at all times.
That's the problem I'm experiencing on my end, is that the parents that have children really didn't want them to begin with. They were accidents.
Yeah.
And then the woman and the man never, got married or decided what they were going to do with the kids. And instead, the kid or the father just pays out enormous amounts of child support.
Yep.
The mother's got to work too, and the kid just runs around wild.
Yeah, yeah. But at some point in time, you have to sit down and say, okay, I can no longer live my life through myself.
I mean, I got girls in my family that say they're never going to have kids and they're never going to get married. They don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, and that's a moving trend these days, which in and of itself is disturbing, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now.
Yeah.
So I think we've already taken care of this. Should social media have an age limit? No. Because to say, well, you can't have social media without being 17, well, this means you have to verify everybody's age. No. But as a society, we should have a better control of this. The schools, there have been a number of schools now. We've covered some of them in the news, and I've seen reports about more of them. There are several schools that are completely banning phones inside of the school systems. Some have been boarding schools, so that the kids don't have phones at the boarding school at all.
Yeah, the private
some have
schools
just been
are
your public schools. Every instance without fail of those, the grades shoot up, social skills shoot up, people are better friends, they have better social interaction because everyone's not just little personal zombies.
Yeah, some guy in the back room calls someone up in the front row. Hey, what's the answer to this question, man?
Yeah.
In the middle of a test.
Yeah, or texting it, whatever else, I was a college professor right when I think Blackberries were the best phones we had at that time. In fact, when I was a college professor, I was a co-advisor for the Christian group on campus, and I have sermons that I preached from that era that reference the BlackBerry phones. I'm old, guys. I'm old.
I remember Blackberries. Those were my favorite until they couldn't get them anymore.
Yeah. Well, they had a BlackBerry smartphone version at one point in time, the Z10.
Oh, yeah.
That was that was a nightmare operating system. Somehow it nuked all of my contacts, even out of Verizon's cloud.
Oh, my word.
And fortunately, I still had a dumb phone that had all my contacts. So I go down to the local Verizon store. I'm like, this phone nuked my contacts. And so he was able to take them off of the dumb phone with their, back when they still had all the devices to move contacts around. He was able to take them all off the dumb phone and put them back up in the account. It's like crazy.
Actually, the first phone I had was a bag phone.
Yeah, I remember those.
And I worked in an era in the 90s where I worked at a Lincoln Mercury dealer, and all the Lincolns had the phones built into the cars.
Yep, I remember those.
Yep, I remember.
So
too.
the next question is this a Trojan horse of a bill to lead to more overall take and overall control? What do we think?
I think more than anything, it's a bunch of hot air to try and sway votes.
Could be.
Yeah, partly that, partly a gateway to other legislation to start to have a tight grip on things that really shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a stock move push, so to force ByteDance to sell to an American company that everybody's already got their money buried in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Rumble was one of the contenders to buy it. Rumble actually made them an offer. I'm like, please, Rumble, don't.
No, go call your stockbroker and buy a bunch of shares of Rumble.
Yeah. That certainly is an issue for sure. But going back to the
somebody knows where all this is going to wind up. Somebody really does. This don't happen for no reason at all.
Well, yeah, there are a couple interesting political angles, as you mentioned, the politics of it. The first is last year, of course, Donald Trump was talking about banning TikTok, but he's not in favor of this particular bill. On the other hand, Joe Biden just got on TikTok 2 weeks ago. He got completely leveled by everybody over there telling him, go away, you senile dude. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, House passes a bill to ban TikTok. Sounds kind of like that Mayor Adams, he's all, I am the influential mayor of a very influential Democratic city. Joe Biden, you got to do something about this immigrant crisis. I'm going to raid you by the FBI now. What?
I can't have my Twinkie.
Political.
Everybody out of the pool.
Yeah, so there are possibly some very good political angles, but I do think this is a Trojan horse to have a lot more control over any other foreign company. But not only that, but once an app gets that big of a footprint and is collecting as much data as TikTok is collecting, once they're doing all of that, and then what happens is now they have this treasure trove of data that the government would love to tap into with a simple subpoena. Not a warrant, a simple subpoena. And that really, I think, is what might have more to do with it. And I would certainly say that, yes, it's foolish for anybody, but, all of the news influencers and guys that are trying to tell us to get off of TikTok, stay off of TikTok. Just there's a thought.
Yeah, pretty easy.
I get the argument, just like the same thing. We do a lot of privacy stuff here. Why are you on YouTube, you hypocrite? This is where the views are, but we're also not producing 1 minute degenerate content.
Right.
But maybe there's an argument, say, let's get all these other people on TikTok so that you filter out the degeneracy. Hey, maybe there's a good argument to that. Just be completely aware how much data that they are collecting on everybody. So,
yeah, if people want to spend that kind of time on TikTok being an idiot or whatever, they might as well go in and buy all the gear and just get on YouTube and get monetized. At least they'll get paid for it.
Well, TikTok is starting to roll out monetization. One of the things that they did in the midst of all this is as soon as this went out, they pushed out a big push notification to all of their kids, of course, telling them about, those evil politicians are trying to get rid of your precious TikTok app. And so now all these like minors were mass emailing congressmen and senators threatening to off themselves if they pass the bill. Like, that's crazy. But is it the kids' problem? No, the parents need to step in. Why are the parents not stepping in and saying, you got to stay off of this one? And there's an argument for sure, well, that's just going to make them want it all the more. No, if you are actually a good parent that has good communication with your kids and spends time with them, you have a lot more pull and a lot more play in your life. You can give them alternatives. You can be like, hey, this one's a lot safer. This one's not.
Yeah, but young
we'll
kids
set you up
are
with some
young
guys
kids
you can
are
watch.
pretty groupy.
What's that?
Young kids are pretty groupy and cliquey.
Yeah.
I mean, and TikTok serves as a bind to bind all that together for a certain clique or group. And you pull a kid out of that, he's going to be really mad because he's going to be the kid that got outed.
Yeah, that's for sure. There is certainly an argument for it. Your kid's the only kid that doesn't have the latest and greatest thing, and he gets all mad until then he starts seeing the negative fallout of all of the consequences. You start looking at it going, yeah. So, yeah, that's what I have. Any other commentary? Salvo, anything, Dad? You've been quiet the whole time.
Yeah, I'm
working on servers.
Yeah, I've been busy managing my servers, and
I get that. I was doing that for a while. So
yeah. So I haven't been paying attention, but I know a little bit of this.
yeah.
And last year, Louis Rossman had a video about a build that was very similar to this. I have no idea if this is the same one, just reworded in some way, but he argued that creating a bill in order to take down a specific company is wrong because that can be misused later to add other. So he said that. You should enact laws or regulations that targets everyone, and if you don't abide by this, then you are not allowed to do business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's validity to that. Anything else before we get into the comments here?
Nah.
All right. Well, I think we beat that dead horse.
I think I spoke my piece pretty good.
Yeah, but speaking of dead horses, Dark Horse Productions says no banning of anything. Let people choose and suffer the consequences or reap the rewards. Yeah, true. There's consequences to things in life. But I think a lot of the problems in America are because we have removed the consequences. Like, watch Code Blue Cam sometime. You sit there and be like, this guy is well known by the police. He's been picked up 875 times before. We've arrested him today after he's driven 100 miles an hour down the road, causing 87 crashes. We got him in his handcuffs, took him to the jail, and he was released on a $500 signature bond. Really?
I really think that we need to get back to writing bills that actually have a sunset time on them, so we can test them before we put them into permanent use.
I think we need to simply enforce the laws that are already on the books and stop worrying about making new ones. And if a judge is not willing to actually enforce the laws written on the books, I think that the judge needs to be stripped of his position, and the most heinous crime that he overlooked, he should go and get that punishment. Send him to jail for a while. Because it's like that's what's causing the degradation of our world. Yeah, I learned this as a college professor, right? You go in and you write your syllabus. And nearly every college professor has on their syllabus, I don't accept late homework. Well, week one of class, everyone's still getting used to everybody. Everyone's getting used to their schedules. Things get crazy. You forget about it. You forget what's due when. Invariably, in the first week, you're always going to have somebody come in, be like, I forgot my homework. Can I turn it in tomorrow? If week one, you say, I don't accept late homework, I'm sorry about that, you will never, ever deal with late homework the entire year, because that one student is going to go around to everybody else behind their back. I can't believe how much he won't accept late homework at the first week of school. but you're going to get the reputation as a professor who's not going to accept late homework. Because if you accept late homework in week 1 and say, don't do this again, it's going to be the same student in 2 weeks, but you're going to have 6 other students who do it in the meantime, and you're going to have this constant cycling of homework coming in and going out, and you don't know what's going what, where, when, why, and how. And overall, it turns into a bunch of nonsense. That is how you manage crime. Because if let's just say shoplifting, and this is the thing, the laws should have minimum and maximum sentences. You're caught shoplifting, and the minimum sentence for your first offense might be 10 hours of community service. And your maximum, if you've been caught a couple times, you're not learning from the community service, so your maximum is 2 years. A criminal comes in shoplifting. He gets 10 hours of community service. He serves his 10 hours, fine. But then he shoplifts again. He's picked up by the police. They bring him back before the judge, and the judge says, this time you're going to jail for 1 year. Guy's going to stop shoplifting.
No, then they take him to jail, and then they let him out the back door because the jails are overfilled.
Well, not
That's how it works
completely
around
true.
here.
Not completely true. And here's the thing. I was actually talking to a security guard at a penitentiary. He said the penitentiaries, which is, where you go for felony crime, your big crimes, you're longer than 6 months, right? Like, you got to realize there's different levels of jails. There's county lockup, which is usually the police picked you up, you stay there until your arraignment. All right. Of course, now they're starting to pass these signature bond things, so you don't even have to stay for an arraignment, which is ridiculous. But you're picked up, you go to this county lockup for an arraignment, which is going to be the next morning usually. You go in, they empty out the cells, go in before the judge, and the judge decides, are you going back? And then you have, if you're have a plea deal or something, you might go to a county jail. So there's lockup, which is usually a few cells in the police station. You have a county lockup, but then you have penitentiary systems, which are for crimes over, is it like over 6 months or is it over 2 years? I forget exactly. Somebody will probably know.
Yeah, they have minimum security and maximum security as well.
Yeah, and those are different things as well. We're just talking about the places that you go. And so what he said to me is that the larger cells for the people who are actually caught, convicted, and have reasonable crimes, those are down to, his prison was at 14% capacity. So I asked him, I thought the Brit jails were overcrowded. He says, no, the lockups are, because it's the same people day after day after day keeps on getting picked up, spend a night in jail, and they have too many people for those because they're not taking those criminals, actually charging them and sending them into the prison system, which in a way, yeah, you go to prison, you'll learn how to be a bigger criminal than you already were. I understand that. Maybe we should solve that problem by making prison less of a social culture and more of a punishment for what you've done. Okay, because when you go out to the Maricopa County tent working bologna farms and they take you down and live you in tents in the Arizona desert with pink jumpsuits and give you nothing but bologna, you don't come back to that because you're like, I ain't committing a crime in this county again. And for a long time, when they had that system running, they have a lot of crime. All right. But if you take the criminals for the small offense and you give them the maximum, which is only going to be a small amount of time, they're going to learn the seriousness of not committing the crimes.
This reminds me of last week's van show with the LTT team. At the last half of the show is people sending in questions and they are answering live on. And one of them was how to get children to abide by your by what you're telling them to do. And he said that every time that you say something, you need to stick with what you have said, no matter the consequences of what you said. Even if you realize you did a mistake, you have to stand firm because the end result is in the short run they will have rages and maybe for an hour or two. But that is just a few times, and then they learn that they are not getting anywhere, and then they start doing what you're telling them. So the prison systems and the police and everything and the courts, they need to start upholding the law. So if they have violated the law in some way, they need to stand trial, and there have to be some consequences. Otherwise, no one's going to learn anything.
Yep. And that's the problem we have right now is, by and large, we are not teaching consequences to anybody, and absolute chaos is breaking out in the streets. When you teach the consequences, chaos stops.
And he also said, for those who are parents who are either struggling with this or are about to have children and so on, and he said that they need to talk between themselves and agree on how they are going to do this. If one parent says something, the other one can't go and then say something else unless they have agreed upon, unless they are agreeing on case by case basis in order to do good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, when you have parents unified in a house and they are on the same page about how to raise and discipline the children, our problems in our society leave. But of course, the Marxist end of the world has been attempting to completely collapse the family structure of our country for so long, and honestly, they're in many ways succeeding. You know, we're noticing in the churches, the divorce rate in the churches is just as high as in the secular population. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. It shouldn't be, but it is. And so we need to tackle that kind of stuff by, first and foremost, in my opinion, of course, this is my crazy religious, what was I accused of by Psycho Dude? The Christian nationalist in me, which is not completely at all true. But that side of me would say you need to repent and turn back to God and really put God first in your life. Because when you do that truly and honestly, then I'll tell you, a lot of things turn around for you. That's the thing.
I remember
the Board of Education, the barber strap. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I remember one time when I was young, when I was little, maybe 8 or 10 or something, and I asked my father if I could do something, and then he said no. And then I, a minute later, went to my mom and asked her the same question. And the first thing she said that, did you ask Dad about this? And oh yes, I did. And what was his response? So there I was.
Yeah. See, but to counteract that, my mother did not have good unified parents, and they were visiting somebody, and there was a cat or whatever. You know, it's like, I want a cat. So she goes to her mom and it's like, can I have a cat? Ask your father. Goes to her dad. Can I have this cat? Ask your mother. So she brought the cat home. And then she's trying to hide the cat a little bit in the backseat of the car, and the cat meows. Like, why'd you let her take that damn cat home? What? I thought it was you. Caught in the lie. How many of us have done that? You know, of course, most of us have. Yeah. Salva, do you want to say something there?
Yeah, I forgot what it was.
Okay. Train of thought has derailed.
Yeah.
Which is kind of frightening because, like, there's the Norfolk Southern track right over here. If the train of thought over here derails, man, I'm in trouble. Fortunately, it's down a ravine from me, so I'm all right. but the poison cloud will shoot up, you know.
There was one situation where we would almost always get our way with Mom. And that was if she was reading something like a book or something, and she was really into the book. Then we would nag her about, can we do this? And then she would only sometimes say yes, just to shut us up, not realizing what she's answering. She just wants to continue reading her book.
Yep, that's that. All right, let's have a look at comments here. It's getting a little late.
You know how many
I'm still getting
comments you
tired.
actually got out of the out? This is not the YouTube chat. This is the actual comments. You have 1,113 comments already.
Wow.
On which one?
On the YouTube channel. These are not chats. These are comments.
Yeah, down
On
below.
this video? Or...
Yeah.
Come on, look at that.
Are they legitimate?
They kind of look so.
I don't see a single one.
No, it's the under the video comments I'm talking about.
Yeah. I just refreshed the page and I don't see a single one.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any either.
I'm showing 1,113.
Wow.
Recently,
refresh and see if they
for no
come
reason,
back. Maybe there's a short circuit.
Could be.
Well, that's weird. Now they're gone.
Yeah, I tried to do a full refresh and they weren't there.
I'm like, there's something wrong. We got more comments than we actually have chatters in the chat box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even
We got
showing
more
any
comments than we
at
got
all.
people actually watching.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I'm not seeing the comment box though at this point.
Yeah,
Weird.
I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it either.
Well, weird stuff's happening to YouTube. That explains why my statistics are all over there. Just keep on adding and removing stuff. Oh, we can't make this guy popular. Ugh.
Fun.
The anime avatar
the whole
has said he's
video
a
UI
white supremacist,
experience
so we
is
can't.
really a mess.
What's that?
The whole video UI experience is a total mess
Oh, yeah.
across all streaming services and platforms.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, let's see. Have to pass the bill to find out what's in it. Sound familiar? Well, I mean, at least this one though is like, you know, I read it in 10 minutes. So, if anybody in Congress voted on this bill without reading it first, they immediately need to go home and be fired. Insult investor spilled coffee on Windows 7 Ultimate 9 laptop and now on Linux running a different machine. Oh, I'm very sad to hear that a computer has gotten coffee on it. That's not only is it a tragic loss of a piece of hardware, it's a tragic loss of a cup of coffee. And to still have a good Windows 7 build going, oh, I'm so jealous.
There is one comment that I noticed. CCG commented that mom needs to use her Switch, and if that doesn't work, there is always daddy's belt.
Yes.
Yes.
There you go. Time to tell TikTok don't use that rubbish. Yep. Bring back shame. Agreed. If you're not going to raise your kids, then don't have them. Yes.
Yeah.
Many of these parents need to find God. Fortunately, though, a lot of parents do find God by having their kids. When they start realizing that, wow, I actually do need to survive and be responsible, you know?
It's really weird that Chinese block all communications through the internet from us, but we can't turn around and do the same to them.
Yeah. Their crazy, whiny CEO came out with a big old, this is so horrible. Okay, fine. Let us open, you know, let Steve, or Cook do whatever he wants with Apple in your country. Oh, no, we can't mention Tiananmen Square in there. Yeah, that's the problem. Shut up.
Well,
So that is the argument for saying let's ban TikTok. It's a Chinese company doing stupid Chinese things. Yeah, ban it. Sure. I'm okay with that. I'm just not okay with the bill, how they're doing it, you know.
Apple's building a brand new plant in India.
Yep. I vote for the flog. There you go. Narrative bots. Yeah. Maybe it's from another video and stayed there. That's possible.
This bill's got some underlying stench to it somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. How to subscribe again. YouTube is shadow banning again. Oh, boy. Yeah. YouTube shadow banning again. Isn't that exciting? Yeah,
it's
double
like
check, make sure you're still subscribed.
Yeah, it's like every other day or something.
We got 20 watching on the 2Bs. We got 17 on Odyssey, or wherever an Odyssey is. Chinese are taking advantage of the people who watch them, yeah. Hate TikTok, would love for them to go away, but for the right reasons. Yeah, we need people to stand up and be like, no. Bart Simpson's like to eat shorts. TikTok tards gonna be tards. Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, the people that are like so crazy about this, they're incurably stupid. So
incurably, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know how to deal with that kind of stupid. I mean,
there's not even a workaround for it.
I have little patience for that anyway. That's why I don't answer some of the questions on the Matrix server. Your search engine's your friend, but I don't want to say RTFM. But at the same time, it's like. Look it up, please.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I get some things are much more difficult, but I try and at least make an effort to look something up before I ask. Like, if I've asked a question on the Matrix server looking for tech help, I have researched it. I've at least spent 3 or 4 hours and a bunch of other things. I mean,
yeah, you've rototilled the Google system.
I have not yet. Like, I have here, somebody gave me a Pine phone, and when he flashed the one of the open source firmware flashes on it messed up the wireless card. I am not yet asking anybody's thoughts about how to get that fixed. I have not reached the end of all of the possible solutions yet. Although I think the best possible solution right now appears to be reflash it with Mobian, and that might fix it, but I don't know yet. We'll see. Although I think it did work a little bit better under Ubuntu Touch, but Ubuntu Touch heats the phone up so much it boot cycles itself. Seen 10 cent content in my free media. There you go. That's right. They pirate and we are allowed to do the same. Arg.
Arr.
Kids across the street are taught how to type on iPads. Eesh. But I have an actual pen and paper. Come on, you can't do that. Hold the heathen hammer high. Nice name. If they really care about our privacy, they would try to stop Facebook, Meta, Google, and Microsoft from collecting so much data. That's the thing. They don't care about the privacy as much. They would just like to have access to that data. And that's why they don't stop Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Meta, because, they have the back doors to them. They used to have the back doors to Twitter, but...
if they pass
that
bill,
evil African bought it and it's all over.
There's nothing to stop the Chinese from breaking into Facebook, Twitter, and Google to get their information. Well,
I mean, Microsoft
they have to work for it more, but
Microsoft just announced that they had a Russian data breach that compromised their source code. So. Yeah, we're going to see, maybe we'll see ad-free editions of Windows 11 coming out in Russian. Would you get the Russian Windows 11 edition without ads? Let me know in the comments. Vote Orange Man bad. All right. And now Inskater's telling us to vote dementia patients. All right. Writing your name on my ballot. Yeah. Trojan horse to censor you from being a wrong thinker. Yes. Although, I don't know. I think TikTok has devolved so much. I don't see a positive end of it, Eventually, they can pretty much ban any platform for being a dangerous threat. That's what they're kind of trying to do. That's why they're so up in arms about everything Elon Musk owns right now, because he came in, bought Twitter, and broke all their toys. So they didn't like that. There were 100 deer last fall in a field last year, destroying the crops. They need year-round open season. Uh-oh. Deer are like rats in the city. They're everywhere. Yep. Life is ugly sometimes. Amen to that. Odyssey chatters are the ones that matters anyway. There you go. Something going on with chat on YouTube. Was watching live Storm Chaser. Chat went dead. Yeah, I think there's been some weird stuff going on YouTube. Tom 2024, you won't want me to be president. I'll cause too many wars. Where's that little red button? I want to see if it actually works. All right. We got 10 watching on Rumble. Hello, Kismet. Greetings. Tried TikTok for about 10 minutes. That was a lot of videos in 10 minutes. Jeez.
Yeah.
At least 10, you know. Government should not ban it. Yeah. Bill will be challenged in court and lose. Nancy Pelosi will make a fortune in the meantime. Yeah. So why does the screen think there's a fly on it? Turns out it was Tom's mouse cursor. I'm not responsive. You break your monitor, Uncle Bonehead. When my daughter was little, we did the ask your dad, then ask your mom thing. She would go back and forth between us for about a year or two until she figured out it was a joke. Biggest stench of the bill is it gives POTUS the power to arbitrarily name whoever as a foreign advisory, including U.S. citizens. That's the thing I don't agree with, because if you read the text of the bill, there's two conditions. One of them has to be foreign adversary, and then the other has to be from a presidential decree. So both have to be on. Where was that at? I think. Let's see if I go to this one and.
But that makes the question: how do the bill define a foreign adversary?
So the term foreign adversary country means a country specified in Section 48272D of Title 10 of the United States Code. Okay, let's go figure out what that says.
Yeah.
You think we'll find it? Let's see. Foreign adversary. Knowing me, I didn't dig this far deep into it, so no, it's not that. Acquisition of materials from non-allied nation. Okay, so apparently, what section was that? D2 of the code. D2 of the code. Covered nations. So a foreign adversary means the Democratic Peoples of the Republic of North Korea, the People's Republic of China, the Russian Federation, and the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Okay, so 4 countries at this point.
Yeah. However, they could easily expand that if they wanted to.
Yeah.
By vote. But that kind of safeguards it a little bit. So, yeah, it's not going to be a random American citizen they disagree with, because that has to be covered under a covered nation as the first condition. So I know some people have been saying that. I disagree with that, because if you look at the text of the bill here, it says is a controlled by a foreign adversary and is determined by the president. So it's not just that any app that comes out of China is necessarily immediately falls into this act. It has to come out of one of the foreign countries and be declared by the current sitting president as an actual national security threat.
Yeah, so this limits the directive by the president of we need to target this specific thing. It's limited to those 4 countries at this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which, if I'm not mistaken, isn't the Islamic Republic of Iran, isn't that the country that Donald Trump stopped immigration from, and everyone was all up in arms about, you can't do that? If I'm not mistaken, I think that was the country, but I don't remember for sure. Yeah. But of course, we all know that North Korea, China, and Russia are just unequivocally the enemy.
I remember someone saying that he did what a good movie plot would do. Someone says that you can't do that, and the response was, I just did.
Yeah. I think I saw that movie recently. What was it? Can't remember. I think I know what movie you're talking about, though.
I have that problem too. I've watched so many movies I can't even put a name to them anymore.
Yep. All right. Got still have the scar on the finger as the bullets were whizzing by me. They'll declare South Africa as a security risk and say take Twitter away from Elon. Yeah, there you go. Someone should start Twitter talk. First time I heard that phrase. Yeah, Twitter talk. Wasn't that the Vine at one point? Yeah. They'd also get rid of the NSA. As an Australian, series I was watching had made up a site called Thruster. That is a great name for a site that is now banned in Texas.
Yeah.
Guys, see that one? The Texas decided to ban the bad stuff online, thinking that that's going to solve the problems. No. Really, as much as Windows source code that's already leaked out, Microsoft should just set the GPLOS already. There you go. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up here. Tomorrow, weekly news roundup. I hope you guys stick around for that. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Back to the usual time tomorrow. And with that, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you all later.